Hey, South Baltimore, what is up? Nate Carper here, and welcome back to your favorite local podcast, South Baltimore Now. It's another beautiful summer day out there, and it's hot, but just glad summer is here. Kevin and I are actually today, we are hanging out at the Federal Hill Main Street office here on Cross Street, here in the heart of Federal Hill, right by the Cross Street Market. And we are talking to Taylor Schwartz, who is the director of Federal Hill Main Street, and she's going to be joining us to talk about some super cool stuff that she's got going on here with Federal Hill Main Street. And if you're not familiar, let me break it down for you. They are the folks who hook up our local businesses with all the love that they need, throwing awesome events and making sure our neighborhood looks top notch. They're all about keeping Federal Hill buzzing and charming as ever for all of us residents and visitors alike. So before we meet Taylor, I'm going to turn it over to Kevin. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. We are right in the middle of the action here, so it's an exciting place to be.
Yeah, it's fun to do this, right? Every now and again, we use the Nomano here to do some in-person interviews on the spot, which is really nice. And Taylor was gracious enough to allow us to come down here to the offices.
Taylor, how you doing today?
I'm good. I'm excited to have you all here. And this is a cool toy.
Yeah, very cool. So Taylor, Federal Hill Main Street just went through a bit of a rebrand, so tell us about it.
Yeah, Federal Hill Main Street just went through a massive rebrand. It was part of a large conversation that our organization was having about how we face forward with our organization. We acknowledge that this community has gone through a massive transformation. We've got more than 240 successful businesses who are in this footprint in our 16-block radius. We are a particularly large Main Street area, and we know how hard COVID hit all of our businesses. Our businesses had to shift, they had to pivot, they had to face standing up to large companies like Amazon and Walmart who weathered that storm quite well. And as we are looking at the new digital age and how our small brick and mortar businesses, our local businesses, continue to remain an integral part of our community, we really needed to figure out what that meant to us and how we reframed that, refreshed that look, and rejuvenated that foot forward for the community. And we felt like a new look best demonstrated that.
What is included in that new look?
So we have a new brand, we have all new colors, all the standard fonts. With that, we've built a new website, which we're very excited about, as a tool both for patrons and for businesses. We're really proud of the work that we've done because we feel it's a lot more seamless, it's a lot more streamlined, we feel like it's a lot more forward-facing, the message is a lot more concrete, and the tools are a lot more user-friendly and accessible.
Tell us about the new logo. What's going on there?
So the new logo, when we sat down and looked at what makes us unique, we had our old logo, it was red, it was known for its font. We felt like we had aged past that, we had advanced past that, and we took note of what we admired in other communities. Now you've got Pigtown, who's known for their pig symbol, and that's kind of iconic for them. And we really wanted to establish something that was iconic for us. And so we thought through, what is it that the businesses say? What is it the patrons recognize? What is it that the residents value? And what we know is that we've got a space that we are proud of being walkable. We've got all of our very historic row homes, and we felt that the doors were a great emblem to acknowledge our history between all the people that live so close to our business district, live in our business district, participate in the business district, and all of the unique facade that we have within the business district. So it's a representation of kind of that cumulative experience that all of our patrons and businesses share in this unique space.
And what are some of the features you like about the new website?
A couple of things. First and foremost, we now have an integrated map. So when you go to our website, you can actually go to our Plan My Visit tab, and we've got a map that pops up with all of our businesses in the footprint. And you can search for things like food, and it'll bring up all of our restaurant businesses. You can search drinks, and it'll give you all the bars and coffee shops. You can go to shopping or nightlife or boutiques or experiences. You can search terms like local or community, and it will siphon out all of the information in our district to give you the businesses specifically that kind of fall into that category. One of the things that when we did a survey of our businesses, we had a couple of pieces of feedback that really helped to inform the decisions that we made about this website. And one of those things was that our businesses wanted better wayfinding. Now, we have certain limitations because of our historic district on what physical wayfinding components we can put out on the street. But especially since we're looking at trying to make our district digitally accessible, we thought that a digital wayfinding tool would be a really neat integration, and we were able to bring that to our businesses and patrons.
So to those that aren't completely familiar, which is probably most of our audience, I know Federal Hill can be a loaded term where it's a lot of different community associations that kind of come together and meet near Cross Street. And obviously you have a business association and you have a business district and you have neighborhood here they called the South Baltimore, and then right over here they call themselves Federal Hill South, and Otterbein and Sharp Leadenhall close by, and then there's certainly business-run organizations. Tell everybody, what is Federal Hill Main Street, and what is your role in the community?
And it's not Locust Point, right?
Not Locust Point. So Federal Hill Main Street is the 501c3 that represents the businesses in Federal Hill Main Street. We work with the 240 plus businesses in our district. We also work with the neighborhood associations because we recognize that in this urban setting, we've got our business district and all of the people that live here. And so we work with all of the neighborhood association presidents. We work with businesses on our board, and then we have volunteers who help to advocate for the success in the business district. Now to us, that means economic vitality, design, promotions and events, clean, green, and safe. So some of the projects that we've taken on include things like making sure that all of our tree pits are filled with trees. It means we put out the holiday gift guide last year. We put on Federal Hill Frosty Fest. We help with things like advertising our businesses and sharing their promotions to the larger community. We maintain relationships with places like Visit Baltimore on behalf of this whole business district. We put on various events that market the businesses to the people that live here locally, but we also work to make sure that our district is being advertised to people who are coming into Baltimore to visit, maybe for conferences or trainings and stuff like that. So we're the organization that kind of oversees the whole success of this district with the help of our local residents. We are a member of Baltimore Main Streets. We have a very close relationship with them. We're one of the 9 main streets in Baltimore that is a Baltimore Main Street, but we are the independent 501c3 that oversees this particular business district.
And a few months back, Nate, I, and yourself got a chance to just spend a day in Federal Hill and see a lot of the different businesses. And as two guys who have lived in the neighborhood for a long time, sometimes you take for granted or forget how much cool and unique stuff that is, whether you want to see a show or get a new pair of sneakers or have a really good meal. So if you could make the pitch to our audience, why is Federal Hill where you need to hang out?
So as a person not from the area originally, I've fallen in love with this place because, you see it in magazines and it's like your day to night experience. You can come into the city and you can have your coffee, you can have your breakfast, you can have lunch, you can have dinner. You can have a date night. You can completely outfit yourself from head to toe. If you want to get your hair done, your taxes filed, your teeth cleaned, a new set of glasses, you want to get anything done, you can walk into Fed Hill and you can have every single experience that you need. Whether a date night, a babysitter, a tutor, we have a lot of things that people don't necessarily realize are like in the nooks and crannies that make our businesses very successful.
And I'll just throw in oil change and tires change as well.
Oil change, tire change. Yeah. We've got places that you can stay in the area, so truly. And the other thing is what makes us also very unique, which I think makes us a deeply special part of Baltimore, is that we're particularly close to not only a lot of historic pinpoints in the city, but we're within walking distance of the stadiums. We're within walking distance of the downtown harbor. Really, if there's anywhere cool that you want to see in Baltimore that's not in Fed Hill, you can walk from Fed Hill there, or better yet, if you're visiting something else, Fed Hill is within walking distance if you want to come shop here or get your meal. We are perfectly positioned for all Baltimore experiences.
Yeah, having lived here now for 14 years, growing up in a small city in Virginia, Northern Virginia area, and not being like in a major city like Baltimore, I've always said there's sometimes weeks I go and I don't even leave the peninsula. But I feel like this area with the community we have here, and we say this a lot on the podcast, we talk about community and just how awesome the peninsula is, of course, but just how amazing it is that it's like a one-stop shop down here. It's literally, you can get just about everything you need right here in this area of Federal Main Street and not have to venture out.
You can. And I think that what makes this unique, in addition to the fact that you can have anything you need from the moment you wake up till the moment you go to bed, is that our business owners are dedicated to Fed Hill. We have business owners who have gone through several iterations of what this community have looked like. They've gone through their own business sort of traumas as the economy has shifted or as their business has faced different types of troubles with things like crime or vandalism. And they have really put their roots down here and decided that Fed Hill is their business home. And I think that sort of dedication and discipline is truly quite unique to Fed Hill because our business owners, even if they don't live in the neighborhood, they want to be here. They have put in roots here and they are equally as dedicated to this area as all of the residents who have put down roots here are.
And I will say too, Federal Hill does a really nice job bringing all the different demographics down here together in many ways, where you have the many young families, you have all the teenagers going to high school. A couple blocks away, you have the kind of post-college crowd that likes to socialize and do social things and probably spend more time in the bars. Then we have a lot of empty nesters in this area and kind of different faces where it's cool, where you have this district that kind of brings a lot of those different worlds together, where some places maybe cater more to certain demographics than others. And then also too, as somebody who's been here a long time, I always say I try to leave the peninsula as little as possible. And with each year, there's less reasons I have to leave the peninsula, because we keep gaining some of those things people need to have everything they need in life. So every year it seems like there's less need to leave the peninsula, and that's always a really good thing.
Yeah, it's a really cool area. It truly, as a person who has lived all over the place, one of the things that as an outsider looking in, as a person who now works here and is rooted here, it's not common to be able to see an area that not only provides you the experience of day to night, giving you everything you need, but has a very integrated full life cycle that can be supported here. There's a lot of places in the country that just can't boast their ability to not only care for their young, to provide an economic framework for success for the residents during their working years, and then also give them a peace of mind when they retire here. That's just not very common. And so I think that also is a very unique set of things that Federal Hill has to offer.
Now that you have this great new website and obviously a lot of great businesses to talk about, what type of marketing do you guys plan on doing to really put the word out about Federal Hill?
We first and foremost plan to leverage our partnerships. We have a great partnership with you. We have a couple of partnerships open through South Baltimore Gateway Partnership, through Downtown Baltimore, through Visit Baltimore, all of which we intend to leverage. We haven't historically been super active on social media, as we have been in the background developing the platform. We've wanted to have something very solid to be able to present to people, and we just didn't feel like having super active social media when we didn't have our feet underneath us with a solid website was great, but we have full intentions of having a very active site there. And then we're going to continue to have different community events that kind of invite people to not only see what we're doing, but to participate in the work.
Obviously, Federal Hill's not the only main street in Baltimore. There's quite a few others. So what type of relationship do you have with the Pigtown main streets and Waverly main streets of the world? Like, what type of collaboration is there, and what type of ways do you guys try to differentiate yourselves?
Ooh, good question. So the directors of the various main streets have a very strong relationship. It's a very unique job to sit in the director of a main street position, because you are navigating so many cooks in the kitchen, like you referenced earlier. We have the community that we answer to, we have the city that we answer to, we have the businesses that we answer to, we have the residents that we work with. And so we talk often about how to best navigate the challenges of the city, because what people oftentimes will confuse about our office is that we work on things like design and safety. We don't have a lot of control over those things, because those things require city approval. They require city permitting. They require a lot of other people from around the state to give us permission to do those things. So our job is to advocate and ask on behalf of the businesses, but we can't always make those promises. And so we often will be discussing how to leverage what power we do have in our offices to help support the businesses best, what tools we're using to help expand our office's capacity, what different things are coming down the pipeline to ensure business success, talking about things like how we address vacancies and facade grants. And those things are all, as much as all of us wish we could just wave a magic wand and fix those things, those are large hauls. And so we are oftentimes exchanging resources to see how we can take on those things, because we recognize that Main Street is an integral part of the economic success of Baltimore as a whole. We all see ourselves positioned in our own footprints with the businesses that we manage, but we know that independently our districts represent a huge economic impact on Baltimore as a whole. So we talk about how to expand our footprint, not in land space, but in our reach for drawing business to Baltimore.
From like a prospective business owner's view, let's say Nate has come up with an incredible creation in his kitchen, or maybe something really good at the crafts table, and he's ready to open a business in one of these retail storefronts down here. What type of resources do you have for these prospective business owners?
First and foremost, we have just recently applied for Project Restore, which is money that helps to bring new businesses into the empty storefronts. We have an intimate sort of relationship with the state, and we're regularly applying for more grants that help to not only help with facades, but getting new businesses in, outfitting those businesses, renovating the buildings. So we've got those sorts of resources available. Additionally, our office has all of the tools that a business might need when they're talking about things like permitting or needing to know what it means to hire a minor or needing to know what it means to work with the state. We've got tax resources. So when businesses have decided that they are prepared and ready to take on the 17 hats it is to be constantly wearing when you are a small business owner, we're here to provide the additional resources and support for the questions that they may not yet have asked themselves.
And speaking of that, grants and how you advocate for businesses and so forth, on May 23rd, I saw on Facebook, you got to spend the day in Annapolis with the governor. How'd that go? What was that about?
Oh yeah, that was cool. Our organization did a survey a little over a year ago, and the number one thing that is regularly discussed not only showed up on the survey, but I think that the number one fire that our office, alongside many other offices in the area, are combating is crime and safety. So we have had to look at a dynamic way to address that concern here in Federal Hill. With the help of many residents in the neighborhood association presidents, partners like South Baltimore Gateway Partnership, Delegate Clippinger's office, Senator Ferguson, there were a number of conversations that took place over the span of many months about how to increase safety. One of the things that Federal Hill has that is unique to us, and I believe Fell's point, is that we have a particularly high concentration of liquor licenses in our footprint, which presents its own safety challenges. Many of the discussions were focused on how do we continue to remain a prominent entertainment district? How do we continue to support the businesses in their utilization of their liquor licenses? How do we stand up next to the bars and support them, not have to go against them in what makes them the most amount of money, but also make the district safe? And so the discussions that were had were around Senate Bill 774 getting passed, which opened up a new stream of funding for business districts with a specific concentration of liquor licenses to help encourage more safety initiatives in areas where crime and safety is a concern with those amounts of liquor licenses. Yeah, they opened up that funding, and it was the work of many.
Taylor's got her head on a swivel at all times.
I do have my head on a swivel at all times. It's okay. I like it.
Yeah. And speaking of that, we got to know a lot of the initiatives that you have going on, the rebranding, refresh, all of that, some things that you've been focused on here. But tell us about you. How long have you been in this role, and what drew you to this originally?
Sure, yeah, absolutely. So I have been in the job since October of 2022. I lose track of time at this point. I've just lost track of time at this point.
Having a new baby at home will certainly make you lose track of time. Yeah.
Yeah. What originally drew me to this job, I have a long history in working with nonprofits in various leadership roles. It's the career path that I've chosen. I love working in nonprofits. And the funny thing is I don't actually believe in nonprofit work. I think that most nonprofit work is propping up government aspects that are failing. That's why I chose to go into nonprofit work, because I take the work so deeply seriously, because if nonprofit work didn't exist, we don't have another thing to fill the gap. And people deserve to live in a society that reflects their values. And government alone doesn't have the capacity to do that oftentimes. I've remained in nonprofit work for almost the entire tenure of my professional career. And prior to here, I was helping to set up refugee camps abroad. I've worked in things like fighting child trafficking, and pick a thing I've probably done it at this point in the nonprofit sector. Those things have all been really valuable work, but they've also been really heartbreaking work. And I saw the job listing for this, and it looked like fun. I wanted something that allowed me to utilize my nonprofit experience, my leadership experience, and to do something that was creatively charged that benefited community. As a person who has worked in various forms of response in nonprofit work, I know what it means to have an economically vital area. I know what it means to have a functioning community. I know how those things combat all of the things that I've done in my previous lines of nonprofit work. Those things like child trafficking or needing to have refugee work, those things don't just happen. They happen because community has failed somewhere along the way, because systems have failed, because government hasn't worked. And so I wanted to go someplace that didn't break my heart. And I wanted to be able to invest in community. I wanted to be able to help build community, because I know that while the work is slow and the needs are urgent, being invested in this type of work is what really does change the content of a person's life. It changes the quality of their life. It changes how they see themselves in society. It has the power to affect how important people believe they are when there are people that are investing in the system in which they live. And so that work is urgent, but it's slow moving, but it's optimistic, it's hopeful. And so because of that, I saw the listing for the job and I was like, that looks fun. So I came here.
Well, we're glad to have you for sure.
So the Orioles are having another great season, and if you look at the attendance numbers, attendance is up big time than it was in recent years, probably 5,000 to 8,000 more people in South Baltimore every night. Did the Orioles have a home game? Has the business district seen an impact of all these extra Orioles fans in the area?
Yes, as has our parking. Yeah, I mean, given that we are so close to the Orioles stadium, our businesses are, they're thrilled. Because when the Orioles do well, so do our bars, so do our businesses. It brings foot traffic into the area, not only for drinking and dining and those sorts of experiences, but it brings all of those people walking past our boutiques, Hidden Gems or like Pandora's Box or Brightside or Venus Fine Linens. It gives those businesses exposure. When the Orioles do well, we've got happy campers and they all congregate here on our sidewalks, in our roads, and they block our parking. And we love it.
Yes, it's certainly a great time to be a Baltimore sports fan. And I not only love the teams, but I love the economic impact they can have as well when they're doing well.
Absolutely.
And shocking that Kevin found a way to fit in an Orioles question.
Given the hat you're wearing, no, true enthusiast.
My head around the corner, I can see the stadiums.
I think there's always events going on that it's like that is the thing that whether the businesses block the road for an event or just the bodies out the door do. There's always fun to be had here for that.
Thank you so much, Taylor. Really appreciate you sitting down with us, inviting us to the wonderful offices here and to our community out there, to our listeners. Just want to thank you all very much. Anything else you'd like to add? Or
come down and visit one of our 240 businesses.
That's right. But thank you for tuning in. Make sure you like, subscribe, tell your friends, tell your neighbors.
Bye.